Hi guys, what's up? It's Will and John here back for the MMA Huddle. I've been kind of MIA for a little bit. I've been having some technical problems. I've been having some health problems. I've been having just problems in general at the minute. So the last kind of 6 weeks or however long it's been, I don't even know. It's been uh, just a clusterfuck is probably the word for it actually. And trying to get myself better, trying to work. And I thought I had the computer fixed, and then they're not. You can't see me on camera for this one. I'm going to try and get that rectified. So yeah, there's just been problems. It's just been one thing after the other. So, but I managed to kind of get on here. We've got an audio kind of side of things here from myself for UFC 255. So I apologise for not being around. John's been kind of filling in there, and he's been doing live streams and so on. So before we kind of get into breaking down the card and stuff, throw a sub on the channel there, and please give us a thumbs up. And any questions you have, drop them down below. We're going to be doing things a little bit different because we've been talking about moving into 2021 and how we might approach some things. Because sometimes we feel we maybe go a bit long, and I mean, we've both got lives outside of this. We've both got kids, and we've both got a lot of other things. So we're maybe going to try and try a few different things. Let us know what you think of the changes and whether you prefer going back to the old style. But we think that maybe sometimes that we do maybe ramble on a little bit too long, and that's just being fans of the sport and talking the sports. That happens sometimes. But the way we're going to approach this week and maybe going forward for the rest of the year is looking at maybe a certain fights on cards. This is the pay-per-view, so there's title fights obviously we want to kind of look at a little bit closer. But we're going to be starting off, instead of starting at the bottom, we're going to be starting at the top, and then we're going to maybe talk about the main card more, and then really kind of give some quick picks on the prelims there, where some fights are less kind of intriguing than others. But it's just something to do, something we're trying out. So let us know what you feel regarding the kind of little change that we're doing for this one here. So big thanks to John for kind of filming and doing his thing the last however long it is with the problems I've been having. So yeah, John, we're coming in here to UFC 255. 2 title fights. We're kind of in the home stretch for the year, and we're like I say, we're talking about some big things for 2021 and possible movement into other kind of niche. Well, not I don't want to say niche sports, but bigger sports and stuff that maybe is a little bit more fresh to us instead of the MMA side. So keep a little eye out for that. How have you been? I know you've been working away as well. So how's things, bro?
Bro, honestly, it's great to have you back. That's the main thing. Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to hear Will's voice. I will see him soon as well, but I think having Will back's a big part. It's what makes the MMA Huddle, and obviously everyone was asking where you were and, and obviously sending him well wishes. But yeah, I'm good, man. Do you know what it is? Enjoyed doing the live streams. It was great. Everyone who tuned in for the live streams, thanks so much who did. I will do more live stuff in the future. Maybe not just obviously breakdowns because I've got Will back, but I might just do some kind of little segments. I found that a kind of ideal time as well for when more people are available and online joining chats. So I'll probably do that in the future, bro. And just in general, I did the watch along as well for the Bellator and ONE FC card. Just something different. But like Will said, we're always looking to evolve, and this is one thing we're doing at the moment with the card, and we're looking to do more in the future. But it's just an invention, like me and Will always say, it's a community. What we want this kind of channel to be is not us and you. We want it to be everyone. So that's why your comments are huge. You know, your thoughts, your feedbacks, everything matters on the podcast to us. What you guys say, because we're trying to obviously accommodate everyone and also just make it more enjoyable for everyone at home. So this is what we're trying to do for all of us, really, as a community.
Yeah. So kind of keep a close eye. We've actually just there's just a big main event that's actually got announced for the very first fight card of the year next year. It's a banger. It's a really good fight. Max Holloway is going to be fighting Calvin Kattar. We think it's going to be in Abu Dhabi because there's talks that Conor against Perez the week after is going to be there. So kind of makes sense that they'd probably head back over there because Abu Dhabi, everything seems to kind of go smoothly. Once it hits Vegas, everything goes tits up. Like last week where there was fights falling off, there was weight issues, there was this, that. To be fair, there wasn't really any COVID issues last week, so it was more kind of weight issues and other problems and that. So, but yeah, we're going to get into the fight card. Let us know your picks, let us know your bets, let us know anything you've kind of got an eye on. DraftKings wise, it could even be that. So let us know down below and just hit that thumbs up if you can. So we're going to be starting off in the main card with my Scottish brethren in a rematch here against an absolute legend of the sport. It's a weird kind of rematch in my opinion. I'm like, I'm surprised they kind of made it a game. But
Yeah.
then they probably actually should have did it straight away after the fight. They should have made the rematch. We've got the absolute legend, which is Maurício Shogun Hua against the Bear Jew Paul Craig here. And a nice start, I think, to the main event. You've got a little bit of kind of name value in Shogun. You've got the rematch element to it, and obviously I'm a little bit interested with Paul Craig being in it. How do you see things going in the kind of first fight of the main card here?
Like you say, a legend in Shogun, and he is just a name in itself. Now, the fight they had before, it was a draw, apparently.
Yeah.
The judges saw it as a draw. But I'll tell you one thing, I think Shogun really underestimated what Paul was going to do. I think he was caught off what was happening in that fight. He didn't expect Paul to be aggressive on the feet and more focused on the grappling side of things. And I think it just caught Shogun off. I just don't think he won for 1 second saw or envisioned this happening to him. So for that 3 rounds, it was almost like every round just caught him off. He just kind of went, in his head, he must have thought, when's he going for the takedown? When's he taking me down? That kind of thing. He just must have thought that the whole time. And then it didn't happen. And Shogun did not show up then. And it just caught him out. Now, Paul put on the performance of his life, so to speak. He has an opportunity to beat a guy in Shogun who is way past his prime and way past his best. So it's the perfect kind of fight to get a victory, a UFC W with a name of Shogun. Like you said, the last fight that Shogun had wasn't a fight that shouldn't have happened either with Little Nog, but it happened. And even then, he was tentative. He was getting caught. He got wobbled. It wasn't exciting to watch. Shogun was kind of counter striking. It was not overly exciting. And I think in this fight, going into this one, I still worry about Shogun. I'm cautious. He's not getting any younger. I feel like it still irks me to this day that he didn't bother his arse to cut down to 185. And I think that he knows now that Paul can come out on the feet, so he should be more prepared for that potential scrap. I think Paul Craig might actually go for the takedowns this time around. If I'm Paul Craig, I'm thinking to myself, right, I caught him on the first time. I can't do the same again. I can't go with the same game plan. Because if you go to the well too many times, it's going to come and bite you. And Shogun this time might be saying, right, cool. Because if you look at the Hendo fight the Shogun had, you have the kind of your learning curves. And Shogun here could learn from the first fight with Paul Craig going, right, cool. He did this and this and this. But I'll tell you where those holes in the striking. Because Shogun's he is a higher level striker. He'll find those holes next time. And you think, cool, I'll have counters ready. If Paul goes back to that well, I worry that he might get caught more. He might be open to more counters because Shogun might be a bit more switched on this time and be more prepared for it. I think Paul might go for the takedowns. Now, don't forget, Shogun is no slouch on the ground. He is himself a high-level black belt. He is a practitioner of jiu-jitsu for many, 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 many years. So he's not going to be a pushover on the ground. But for me, I think the fight for Paul is going to be better on the ground. I think it's going to be a safer option being on top of Shogun. Then again, Paul might try to lull him into a ground battle to get him on his back and go for a triangle. But this fight, I don't see it being the same as last time. I really can't. I just can't see how it's going to be the same again. I just don't know why it would happen again. I think Shogun he's too smart and wise to let it happen like that. I think Shogun might be a bit more aggressive this time to try and keep Paul on the back foot. But, I might actually go for Paul Craig on this one. I think he might be able to pull it out with a different style. I think he might actually go for the takedowns. And I don't want to fade on Shogun, but I haven't got a lot of confidence in him. I know he'd won a few fights and then he's here and there. Paul beat Antigulov, who is absolutely gopping anyway, so it's not like it's a big victory, Antigulov, in my opinion. But I might go for Paul this one. If he keeps striking though, like he did last time, I think Shogun might catch him this time round. But Shogun just doesn't have that pop that he used to have either, it seems. But I'm going to go Paul Craig.
Yeah, I'm going to go Paul Craig as well. I think that, Shogun's past it. I think he's definitely in his last few fights of his career. I think everything's kind of, he's declining. He's been declining. And that probably fight with Paul Craig maybe showed it more than most. Where Paul will be learning more as well. Shogun probably has learned more than Paul Craig ever will in the sport. But Paul he's still fairly young in the sport, and I mean he'll be making progressions with what he's doing. And like he took it to Shogun in that fight, and he's not got Brazil to kind of back him up in this one here. So he's in Vegas. Shogun's always dangerous. You can never write out someone like Shogun, write him off, I should say. And he's always going to be dangerous, I think, early on. But Paul Craig went at him very early on in that fight, and like you said, surprised him, I think. And then he started to kind of come back into it later in the fight. Paul made some mistakes, and Shogun started to get him a little bit. But I still think Paul was a little bit unlucky to kind of not win that fight in that spot. I think here with him making progressions within his game, like I say, maybe try and just get through that first round. Don't be stupidly aggressive where you get countered with a big shot, because Paul's not got the best chin and he can get caught with big shots. And Shogun still, he's got the ways about him, the way where he can knock you out. I think Paul Craig is the rightful favourite. I never thought I'd ever be saying that, where Paul Craig's a favourite over like Shogun Hua. This would be big to have a win over like a guy like an absolute legend in Shogun Hua. So go out there and take it and do it. I think he can. I think that he'll run through this. I don't want to say run through, but I think he'll look a lot more comfortable in this fight than I think a lot of people maybe give him credit for. I think he'll be comfortable. I think he can maybe get Shogun out of there, but Shogun can. I think his shot resistance is went, but he's smart. Yeah. Like in the Nog fight there, he get hit with some shots, right? Takedowns.
Yeah,
got the well
timed them well. Yeah,
he did. So that's what I'm thinking. He did it in the Tyson Pedro fight as well. Got hit with a couple of shots, went in for takedowns, got the win there. I think Paul, I think he'll be making bigger progressions in his game right now, and like you're not going to get that with Shogun. Shogun's at the spot, still a decent name, but his skills really don't pay the bills as much as they kind of used to. He's not as dangerous. But I'll take Paul Craig. I think he can get him out of there as well. So Paul will get my pick in that one there. Katlyn Chookagian against Cynthia Calvillo is up next in the women's flyweight division. I think this fight was kind of through on there just as a backup. I'm not 100% certain like something's not going to happen this week with one of the title fights. I've got a funny feeling. I've had that since last week. That someone like a Jennifer Maia might fall out and someone might jump in, or Figueiredo something might happen. I'm just not sure, and I think the UFC have obviously put other fights in place on this card just in case that happened. You've got the flyweight one with Moreno and Royval to jump in if something does happen, which I think is actually a good idea. I think the UFC were smart in doing that. But here you've got Chookagian coming off a dominant performance. Not a dominant performance. She lost to Jessica Andrade, didn't she? So no, she got dominated. She got hit with that body shot. And
shot, yeah.
I'm thinking about the Shevchenko fight there, where she just got takedowns at will there and lay in top position. And Andrade just kind of ran through it, and that can happen with Andrade because she's a little kind of bulldozer. But there's all these talks with Chookagian. She's like, she's not got long left in the sport. Once she has a kid, she'll never come back to the sport. She's looking at kind of life outside the UFC, but she's an awkward fighter to face, and like she can pop you at distance, she can stay on her feet, she can frustrate you. Calvillo looked absolutely great and probably her best performance, I think, in her UFC tenure last time out, when she really dominated Jessica over 5 rounds, which I thought was a big thing there. Both girls coming in fairly short notice. I think Calvillo was due to fight someone else, if I remember right. And but I mean, both girls are in spot here that if they get a big win, they're back in line for a possible title shot, especially Calvillo. I think Chookagian, if I'm her, I don't want to face Valentina again after what happened the first time around.
It's a hard sell for UFC as well, bro.
They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. So bigger fight, bigger things at stake here for Calvillo, in my opinion. I just want to see what's the difference in kind of height and size between them. That's something I forgot to look at.
Probably a couple of inches taller.
Yeah. Calvillo definitely, obviously, she looks a lot healthier at a bigger weight class up there. I know that she's been training a lot, 5'4" to 5'9", but Chookagian's a big girl against most girls, to be fair. She's got a bigger reach and so on, but she's not dangerous in any one spot, really. She's not going to grapple with Calvillo because Calvillo is a opportunistic jiu-jitsu girl herself, so she can do that. This, to me, is, I think it's going to be a fight where Chookagian will look to kind of fight at distance. Calvillo will look to maybe try and clinch up, hit her with some strikes in close. And I can see it being close, but I can see it kind of being decisive and kind of one side, and that's Calvillo in my opinion. So I'm gonna pick Cynthia Calvillo for the win.
I think being 3 rounds helps Cynthia in this fight as well, because with that, she, like you said, Cynthia can get the grappling going, and I think that's something here in this fight that's something that will help. I think she needs to integrate grappling. Being at 125 for Cynthia, it's helping her, like you said, Will, health-wise. She probably feels stronger. She can go longer. And she feels that when she grapples, for example, when she gets to the cage with Katlyn, it'll help her keep the distance. It'll keep it nice and tight. It'll throw a couple of knees, just wear her down a bit. And it will give her present her potential more kind of takedowns or striking opportunities if she were to break from the clinch on the cage and strike. With Katlyn, we know what she does. It's boring. It's timeless, it's consistent, and it's annoying. She shouts really loud, throws a load of punches the air about 5 inches in front of where your face is, and then lands every now and then. She's not going to do anything outstanding in the fight. That, to me, she's not going to catch out. With Cynthia, I feel like she's a bit more dogged. Like that Jessica Eye fight, she got cracked by Jessica Eye a couple of times, and she did well. Like she recovered well, she composed, and she came back again. She can fight dirty, like you said, Will. For me, Katlyn hasn't got the range management nailed down. For someone who should have the range management down for her physique, she should be able to manage how well she hits people and doesn't get hit. Jessica Andrade just shut that all off. She went, cool, I'm going to fight in close, rip you and batter you, and that's what she did. Jessica Andrade just ran at the girl almost, and that's what Cynthia needs to do here. Cynthia can't really be on the end of the punches. And literally, that is what you are with Katlyn. She just throws for the sake of throwing. And I feel like Cynthia's got a bit more of a skill set. She looks a lot better at 125, like you said there, Will. The Jessica Eye fight was a good litmus test, because Jessica Eye, even though she's not, she's certainly not in a prime, but she's still a badass flyweight. Like this is the division for Jessica Eye, perfect weight class, and she's a good fight. She's a good fight for anyone. I kind of favor towards Cynthia Calvillo as well. I think that she's now kind of in that position where she's 3 rounds, got the energy to go, kind of a bit more output than she did like sometimes in the flyweight, strawweight division, bro. That's the one it is. I think Cynthia can have a bit more of an output and a bit more, because not 5 rounds. I think she can go for the grappling aspect and really get control of the fight. And the scrambles is one of the things she's great at, Will. It's opportunistic with the guillotines and all sorts. So I kind of go towards Cynthia on this as well, bro.
Okay, so we're moving on. We've got the absolute madman, which is Mike Perry against Tim Means. A really fun fight. It could be a lot of kind of violence in this one here. Like Mike Perry at the minute, he's completely off the rails, and I think his performance has kind of shown that a little bit. I was a little bit surprised that Mickey Gall kind of went to decision with him last time. That was a little bit kind of an eye opener for me. Obviously, the people that he's got in his corner, the lack of people he has in his corner, and then the things he's doing outside the cage and the things that are kind of being said outside the cage regarding him. Not a great look for Mike Perry. Not that it's ever really been a great look for him anyway, but he's facing off against the ever violent kind of Tim Means, who looks to always come forward and give you a big fight. But I think his kind of punch resistance went a little bit where you can knock him out. He's a little bit more viable to get knocked out kind of in 2020. And Perry, we know, has got the power. How do you see this kind of fight kind of playing out here? What's your look on it?
Well, Mike Perry's actually got a coach in the corner this time, as well as his pregnant missus, who he's only been dating for a short period of time. And it's a bit crazy. It's actually, she's pregnant, mate. Yeah, so she's going to be, I don't know how pregnant she is now. I don't know how far she's gone, but she's going to be pregnant. So he's got 2 coaches, one, I think it is in total or something like that. But he's got people, at least he's got a bit more of a professional help during the week. As much as he said, my missus, anyone can corner me, so I'm going to have my missus corner me. It's not really the fight, the 15 minutes. Fair enough, sometimes you can get away with it because you've only got 15 minutes and there's only so much a coach can maybe do. They can sometimes see openings that you can't, that they can help with. I'm not saying that having a corner there for a 1 minute chat is not going to help. But during the week up to fight camp, that's the bit where a coach is more effective, where they're helping you with a mindset, maybe they're drilling over certain things in the fight, things that maybe, they're just there as a good support network. Whereas with his missus, he's I doubt the missus was really being a coach. She was just talking about the fights and not even talking about fight, talking about whatever Kim Kardashian's wearing now or some rubbish. I feel like there's a bit more here where with like say Mickey Gall fight. If you had a coach in that corner, given them a couple of directions, he would have put Mickey away. He would have finished Mickey, but he just kind of let Mickey stay in the fight, which is weird. Mickey got hurt and he should have really messed him up. Tim Means, on the other hand, I've always enjoyed watching Tim Means because one thing you get with him is violence. The dude fights hard. He will come at you. He's got every kind of intention to hurt you with fist, elbows, knees, whatever it is. He's fun to enjoy. Tim Means isn't going to be backing off too much with Mike Perry. Now, I do worry, like you say, Will, Tim Means' chin, we have seen in the past, say, 5 or 6 fights, there's been a slight deterioration going as the fights go on in time. But when he gets hit, Mike Perry's good at going for the finish. He's good at unloading. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Mike Perry maybe implement some grappling side of things here, maybe try to catch Tim Means out a little bit. But for me, Mike Perry should win this. Because he does hit hard, he can hit hard, and he can hit hard in the second and the third round. We've seen when Mike Perry's able to do it. And with Mickey Gall just wanted to get the takedowns, for example, on Mike Perry eventually. That's the game plan. If you want to beat Mike Perry, you encourage him to the scrap and then you get him down. But I'm going to go with Mike Perry here. I think he's got a perfect little opportunity here to have a guy who's willing to stand with him and take his time, get in. Hopefully the coaching's helped out a little bit. Hopefully from his last fight, he's maybe realised, and I'm not saying he's matured, but he's kind of went, I probably need to screw the nut a little bit on this side of things. And we might see a bit of a better performance at something that we've seen of an earlier Mike Perry, let's say.
Yeah, it's a good fight. It's got the kind of all the intentions of being a really, really good fight. We need to wait and see how it is. They're saying that Mike Perry's got someone else in his corner, but who is that person? Is he just is he a coach? Is he an actual sparring partner? Who knows where he's sparring? Who knows what's going on with him? Honestly, there's a lot of kind of question marks, in my opinion, on the Mike Perry side here. Where, like I said, I don't think he's looked great in his previous couple of fights. I think there's obviously all the outside shenanigans where he's knocking out old men. That's not a good look. So, and there's kind of racist things that he says. There's a lot of bad shit that's going on with Mike Perry right now. So maybe him being in the cage is maybe the best thing for him, and it might actually maybe put him back on kind of kilter a little bit. But like I say, Tim Means a guy I've always loved watching fight. I think that he's definitely the kind of the perseverance has kind of moved down a little bit, where he's not. I don't think he's as dangerous as he once was. I don't think he's in your face as much. I think these guys with more power, more athletic guys have kind of caught up with him a little bit. I think he's took a regression with his chin and his durability and everything pretty much. Kind of opens up Mike Perry, because we know what Mike Perry has got, and that is a big power in many spots, in the clinch, at distance. But I cannot pick Mike Perry with what he is kind of doing. I don't know he's outside, what's going on outside the cage, what his training's like, if he's even sparring, is he getting good looks, is he being coached? I'm not sure on that. Tim Means to me, I watched an interview where it looks like he's got a mean cut in between his kind of both eyes, so that's a little bit sketchy to me. So I don't know when that was. It was with MMA Junkie. I watched a couple of days ago, so I'm sure it's fine. It's healed up before fight time, but I mean, he's going to have to watch his P's and Q's with Mike Perry. Mike Perry could maybe jump in for some takedowns here. That's something that he has done in previous fights. But I don't think he looked great against Mickey Gall, if I'm being honest with you. He did not look like the Mike Perry of old. And I'm kind of surprised that, I think if I'm the UFC, I know he's an exciting fighter. I think I want shot of a guy like this, personally. I think some of the stuff that he does outside the cage is just added shit that the UFC doesn't need. So maybe Tim Means getting a win on him here might be close to maybe pushing him out the door or whatever it may be. He'll have suitors. He could go to a Bellator. He could easily go to a PFL. Yeah, bare knuckle. There is probably spots out there where he makes better money. And becoming a dad, it might not be the worst thing that the UFC kind of lets him go. So I'm going to pick Tim Means. I'm going to get him to kind of win a close-ish decision, but I've got him 29-28 in that one there.
Nice.
So one of the main event fights here, women's flyweight division, we've got Valentina Shevchenko, the kind of goat of that division. She's not really been touched by anybody. And you've got Jennifer Maia in here, who's coming in here after she lost her kind of last fight, and then obviously kind of got JoJo and caught her in the first round. And when you kind of do that and you look impressive and you've not got much really in front of you, then you're going to kind of get a shot there. They could have went different ways, and they're going to go different ways. You've got your Calvillos, you've got your Lauren Murphys, but Jennifer Maia kind of won at the right time, and obviously JoJo was scheduled to fight Valentina, so it kind of made sense that maybe she took the spot, even though I don't really agree with that, and for me at least. But it's like Valentina's winning the fight, obviously, just winning the fight. There's just some things I put out on Twitter, like a tweet there, it's like, the betting line that she's at, hopefully you're not betting at those odds because it's crazy odds. But like, what is the kind of bet to make in this fight? Is it to make start round 3 over 2.5 rounds? Is it inside the first 3 rounds? I don't know. All I know is Valentina Shevchenko is probably better across every aspect of the game here than what Jennifer Maia is. Obviously, Maia's a black belt, and she's shown that she's got skills down there. So Valentina has to kind of mind her P's and Q's if she goes down there. But we've seen Valentina probably submit better girls or be in the back or be in a dominant position in better girls than Jennifer Maia. So yeah, Valentina's obviously the pick here. I'm not going to go into it too long here. She's more fluid striker. She can fight at distance. She can fight in close. She can take you down. She can submit you. She is just levels above Jennifer Maia in this spot here, and she'll roll through it. I don't know whether, like I said, I've not got the greatest reading the fight. I don't know. I feel like she's going to get it done the first 3 rounds. It's one of these spots where Jennifer Maia could maybe crumble to the pressure of knowing that she can't really do anything to Shevchenko. So to me, I'll probably take Valentina in the first 3 rounds. That's what my kind of pick would be in that one. So Shevchenko for the win.
I don't see any other way going. Like, for me, Jennifer Maia, she got the win over JoJo, and JoJo was silly stepping in, taking that fight. She stepped in I think someone pulled out, and JoJo stepped in to face Jennifer Maia, like as in, oh, well, Shevchenko's not fighting now, so I'll jump into this fight. I thought, and she made the mistake. She's done that before, though. JoJo jumped in and fought someone with short notice thing, and it all went wrong. It's twice happened. She lost it, and you know what? That's absolutely frustrating because JoJo I'm not saying she's a better suit to fight Shevchenko, but stylistically, it might have been a bit of a better fight because JoJo is quite tough on the feet and she can take her licks a bit better. But Jennifer Maia here, she's a decision girl, and the worry is she's fighting someone who finishes fights. Like Valentina Shevchenko, she can go 5 rounds, but she's got the skill set to stop people. I think she's one of the most complete fighters you've got on that UFC roster. She's got to be top 3 completing it. Like, for complete skill sets, she's got to be in the top 3. Insanely good gas tank. Great stand-up. And she's solid on the ground. She's got a combination of everything you need, really. She's probably one of the most better all-round fighters. Mate, I'm with you as well. I just don't... And do you know what? I've got to be careful at some point. It's like, it reminds me of when Ronda Rousey fought Holly Holm. Everyone was on that Ronda Rousey train, and it was very hard to look past Ronda Rousey, and obviously Holly Holm scorched her. And I don't want to get into that trap with Shevchenko where I go, oh, it doesn't matter who she gets, she's going to get loose. But with Jennifer Maia, I just think that Jennifer's not going to be able to. She'll come in and try to fight dirty boxing, and that's the best way forward, to kind of fight close. It won't work because Shevchenko's got a solid little clinch game where she can incorporate the elbows and knees higher and to a higher level, I think, than what Jennifer could. So I think she'll have a tough time even trying to apply that game plan because it's even getting close to Shevchenko that'll be the issue, because we've seen before when you come in close to her, she's got a wicked one too that just really kind of stuns you. So I'm going with Shevchenko as well, bro. I just think at the moment there's no one really in the 125 that's going to cause Shevchenko too many problems. Jessica Andrade maybe could come up with something in the future, but you never know.
Yeah, like I say, I'm looking forward to watching Valentina. She's always someone I do like watching. She's very technical.
Yeah.
And she's just very good.
Yeah.
She pushed like Amanda Nunes to her limits a couple of times as well. So I'm like, she's at the top of the food chain when it comes to women's MMA, in my opinion. Just kind of slightly below Amanda, but not by a hell of a lot, if I'm being honest. I think if they were to fight again, I think Valentina could beat her. I thought she could beat her the second time around. Didn't play out that way, but I'm looking forward to watching Valentina. I'm also looking forward to watching this one here. A really good fighters, in my opinion. It's nice to see a flyweight kind of main event, a pay-per-view. They've got a kind of newish champion here in Deiveson Figueiredo, a guy I think you can get behind at this division. Yeah. And then you've got Alex Perez here coming in here and getting his opportunity. And I think there's a big thing for kind of the UFC, Dana White, having a guy from the Dana White Contender Series in a title fight. I think it's a great look for the show. I'm a big fan of the Dana White Contender Series. I do think they do maybe bring in a bit too many guys, but we were talking about this earlier on where they do have a lot of cards, so filling it up with guys on a lower kind of pay bracket might help out, and then they can move into positions like this where Alex Perez has got himself a title fight and he's headlining a pay-per-view. And I actually think it's a good fight. I don't think I've seen some people completely write off Alex Perez in this spot. I'm not going to be one of those guys. I do side on the Deiveson Figueiredo side, but I think Alex Perez has got some things in his game that can maybe pose some problems early on. I just don't think he can make it last through a 25-minute fight, in my opinion, because Deiveson is a savage. He is an absolute savage. So you look at Alex Perez there, he's got some really good spots to his skill set. He's got like really big leg kicks where he can like demobilize you very, very quickly. He's got some decent hands, very aggressive. If he's got you pinned against the cage, he can unload on you, can throw in combinations. But then you have to really be careful that what's coming back at you with Deiveson. He's got big power himself. But if you watch the Formiga fight, to me, I think you can get in on well-timed takedowns on this guy, and you can. I don't want to say you can control him, but you can keep him there for spots in the fight there where you might kind of take the round on being a little bit more dominant in that position. So initially, I see Alex Perez actually landing some shots, actually landing some takedowns, and getting momentarily takedowns on Figueiredo early. I think as Figueiredo kind of moves his way into the fight, and if he's like, I can maybe see Perez maybe taking an early spot in the fight, maybe taking the first round or whatever, maybe get a couple of well-timed takedowns. I just don't see him keeping that for the larger parts of the fight. I think Figueiredo starts to hurt him with the bigger shots. The guy's like one of those jungle fighters out of Brazil who's just a savage, and you've seen that in the Benavidez fights there, where especially the second one, that choke was absolutely nasty. There was blood spitting out everywhere. There was obviously the clash of heads, I think it was, against Benavidez before that, but he hurt him with some big punches. You watch the Pantoja fight, the guy's got some legit power for that weight class. And I do think he's a guy that can get behind at 125. I think it's a kind of bit of a godsend with Cejudo maybe moving out. I thought, where do they go there? This was obviously supposed to be Cody Garbrandt, which could have been a great fight, I think. And something that would put more shine onto Figueiredo facing a guy with a former UFC champion in Cody. But like I say, ultimately, I just see more. I see the hardier fighter coming through here, and that is Figueiredo. I don't know whether he takes Alex Perez out, but I think that he could definitely take over late. Figueiredo's a guy that always looks for the finish, and you've seen that he's got like stoppages over Beltran, Morales, Moraga. He's won his last 3 fights via stoppage, so the guy is pretty much a finisher in a division not really known for it. But I think I'm going to go Figueiredo via decision here. I think that Perez toughs it out, but I think Figueiredo. Figueiredo ultimately kind of wins the fight and retains his belt.
I love the matchup as well. I think Alex Perez he's one of the dark horses in the flyweight division. Well, he's got a great kind of skill set. He can strike, as we saw like Jose Torres fight, for example. He's got power in his own hands. You know, it's something he's something comfortable with. He's got submission games. He can wrestle with you. The leg kicks was a huge one, that figure in that juicy fight. You know, that was a kind of highlight, you know, kind of stat there, and you just went, man, that dude's got some little smart moves with setting up the leg kicks, and he just timed them well, and they were effective quick. And Figueiredo's obviously going to be smart with that. He's going to know that's an option there, and I'm sure his coach and his corner have drilled to prep for it. One of the things you've got to be worried about if you're throwing a leg kick is that the general kind of counter is a straight back at you. So they won't throw a jab, they'll throw a heavy punch back, because the reason for that is because you're throwing a leg kick, you're on one foot, you're off balance, so to speak. You know, you kind of use momentum to keep you up. And you'll see a lot of guys who get cracked with that straight, and that's one thing I think Figueiredo will have drilled. Now, obviously, in the second fight, with Benavidez, we saw just a ridiculously oozing confident Figueiredo just walking down Benavidez. He had no fear, the power of Benavidez, no fear at all in his combinations. He knew what he was going to do. And Benavidez, I said it in previous breakdowns, he has a habit of, when he throws a combination, he kind of ducks his head down, throws the punches, and closes down the gap to the opponent. And he just kept doing it. And Figueiredo just went, dude, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to hit you in the bunce on the head, and you're going to. And it just kept doing it. And you just saw, you could see, bless Benavidez. He just had no answers. That power was too much. You couldn't get the takedown, and that's something you got to be worried about. Figueiredo finishes fights. He's a fight finisher. Perez, though, if he doesn't win this time, I could see Perez in a year maybe or so more potentially coming back for a shot at that belt again because he's so good. Super excited by what Perez can offer. And like you said, Will, a guy from the Dana White Contender Series is nice. Don't get me wrong, the flyweight division's a bit shallow, should we say? They are trying to add to it all the time, but man, I've got to pick Figueiredo because I just think the power that he's got is ridiculous for that weight class, and he is a threat. And I think, honestly, I think if Cody went down to 125, I think Figueiredo would knock his block off. Absolutely flat pan him, he would. I think that cut for Cody would kill him, like did with TJ Dillashaw, and it would be too much when you're getting hit by Figueiredo, who would absolutely murk him. But yeah, I'm going to go Figueiredo, bro, to keep the title as well. I think we're going to see and still for both guys and girls.
Okay, so that's us through the main part of this. Like I say, we're going to kind of fly through these bottom parts here and kind of go through them, and then I'll talk about a couple of betting situations. So I don't know where the card actually went. There it is there. So we'll go quickly through the early Fight Pass prelims here. Lewis Cosce against Sasha Palatnikov. I'm on the Cosce side in this one myself. Palatnikov coming out of Hong Kong, I think based out in Vegas as well a little bit, coming in here a couple of weeks' notice against a guy that I think they want to build in Cosce. He's more of, when I look at Palatnikov, he's fought some okay guys. He fought that Munir Lizez who beat Razak Al Hassan, who got absolutely starched last week, which was an eye-opener. But Cosce, to me, I think he's got a lot of advantages in this one. I don't think that Palatnikov can stop takedowns. I think he's scrappy on the feet, but I think the more power and the big double legs that Sasha has, that Cosce has, will take down Palatnikov, and I think he'll stop him. And I've actually kind of been looking to add him into a couple of bets that I've looked at, but I've got Cosce stoppage middle of the fight.
I'm with you, Will. I'm going Cosce as well. I think he can get a stoppage. I think if he doesn't get a stoppage on the feet, that's when he can incorporate takedowns if he wants to, if he's not getting his way. And look, Sasha got absolutely schooled, mate, in his fight. Like you say with Munir, he got schooled by him and he got absolutely battered. I think Cosce's going to do a bit more. He's got too much power. Sasha's not, from what I've watched on the footage I could find, he's not overly powerful with striking. He's not. I just think Cosce's got a hell of a heart on him as well. I think he'll come forward with aggression and just go for that takedown if it doesn't work in the second round. Get on top and out wrestle and pound him down with ground and pound, bro.
Yeah. Kyle Daukaus against Dustin Stoltzfus here. A couple of guys. Are the Dana White Contender Series guys? I think they are. So, like we're talking about earlier on, they've threw a couple of guys in here. I'm on the Daukaus side myself. I think that I liked his UFC, his first one. I mean, being thrown in there against Brendan Allen, I was thinking, I'm not too sure about this, but the guy's scrappy and he's actually he's dangerous on the ground. He's just a very scrappy guy. Obviously, his big brother's a good heavyweight prospect at the minute.
Yeah.
Stoltzfus, to me, more of a wrestler type coming out of Germany. Not had the best competition. Fought that guy in the Contender Series. That was a bit of a gruesome injury. Not a good look at all. To me, Daukaus is just a little bit more. I think he'll look for the finish, where I think Stoltzfus would maybe try and ride top position, kind of try and win through positional battle. But I think as a more dangerous fighter and who wants it more, I think Daukaus kind of wants it in that spot, in my opinion. So I've got him. I actually think he could submit Dustin Stoltzfus late off in this fight. So I've got Daukaus for the win here.
I'm with you on that again, bro. I think Daukaus can definitely 100% get the win here. When I watched Dustin's fight, I found that I thought he was a little bit too patient as well in his fight. And I felt like there wasn't enough. Like the Jonas Bilstein fight, which was a good win for him. Don't get me wrong. Jonas is a pretty good regional middleweight fighter to get to go up against. He's still, though, Jonas kind of just didn't have the answer to stop it. And I thought there was opportunities to get into Dustin in the fight, and he just didn't do it, Jonas. When I was watching it, it was kind of frustrating viewing, if I'm honest with you. But I just feel like Kyle's got a bit more about his skill set than Dustin here, and I think, like you say, Will, that if he wanted to, he could certainly get the grappling aspect going here. And he's an exciting prospect. You know, I know he's lost a couple of fights on the regional scene himself, but man, I think that Dustin's definitely beatable, 100%. And I think that, like you said, the Dana White Contender Series fight, he wasn't doing overly successful in that fight when he got he got the win. But just because the guy put his arm down, if you've watched it, folks, it's a bit rough. The guy's elbow dislocated. By the by, take that away. He wasn't doing anything crazy in that fight to win either. I don't know how that fight was going to go. If, in my opinion, I wouldn't have given him a contract, Dustin. Not to be disrespectful, I would have given him another fight in the Dana White Contender Series to actually get a fight through, because yeah, he got the win, but I wouldn't even feel uberly confident about that. But yeah, so I'm going with Kyle on this one.
Up next, the kind of headline fight, the prelims here, we've got Alan Jouban and the Night Train, Jared Gooden, a guy that has been supported for a long time by our good friends over at Half the Battle. Dan Levy and Shaq are over there. They've been looking out for this guy. He comes out of Georgia originally. And he's a guy that he's fought a lot in the regional scene, and he's got like a lot of fights, 20-odd fights coming into UFC here. Fought some decent guys, got some wins over guys that, I mean, sometimes he's been in there with guys with not the greatest record, but I kind of know the way some of it works, where you just have to kind of get wins, and if you can get stoppages, you're going to get your opportunity in the UFC, especially in this kind of era with COVID and that. So he's a guy that I think's been due coming into the UFC for the last year, in my opinion. And he's got his opportunity here, and I actually think he's got a really decent fight against Alan Jouban. So I'm really happy to see him in the UFC and Jared Gooden. How do you see the kind of fight going here? I'm on Jared Gooden's side here, in my opinion. I'll speak about it after you do. How are you going with it?
I was even picking Jared because a little bit of favoritism, only because I've interviewed him in the regional scene, so to speak, and and you know, I got on with him like a house on fire. He's a great human being, great individual. But like you say, Will, I actually favour him from a skill set wise. He was obviously fighting middleweight a couple of times, Jared, and he was kind of in between weights a couple of times. He was trying to make the move down to welterweight, which is the perfect weight for him. He fits the size, fits the bill. He's got good power in his hands, and he can grapple if he needs to. With Alan Jouban, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a guy who's a kickboxer. His chin is rocky. One thing that Alan Jouban has got back in him is that he's got great conditioning. So with the great conditioning, similar to like Michael Bisping, when you got rocked, he kind of came back a bit quicker because he was in good shape. So that's one thing Alan Jouban gets away with sometimes with his chin when he gets rocked. But with Gerard, he's going to come forward, and he's just got nice heavy hands. He'll throw some kicks, and if he wants to get that fight to the ground, he can 100% get Alan Jouban down and really start to like lay it on him. I just think as long as Gerard is pacing himself correctly in this fight, he should be able to he should potentially get the stoppage here against Alan Jouban.
Yeah, I think this is I actually think this is a really good spot for Gooden here, and I don't think it's the greatest spot for Jouban. In my opinion, he's a little bit older, 38, 39. He's been doing some work with the UFC there. So the UFC obviously like him. I think they're going to keep him around for commentating or like certain shows that he does. But he's accumulating a lot of injuries. He's not really winning fights. I think it's a really good time to get Jouban. I think you've got someone here who's actually got the same amount of fights as Alan Jouban. You've got granted, both got the same amount of fights here. So that's like, he's not getting like a UFC newcomer that's not a newbie. Obviously, he's new to the UFC, but you're not getting a green guy in this spot here. I think Jared Gooden could get him in a lot of spots here. Jouban's obviously, he's dangerous, and maybe he's hungry to get a win here. But to me, he's had a load of surgeries, a load of injuries. Does he really need the kind of fighting profession now? I'm not sure he does, so I don't know whether he's kind of got one foot out of the sport. But I do have kind of my concerns over this going into the late part of the fight, and maybe Jouban just winning rounds, very close rounds, and maybe getting a decision. So I'm going to lean on the Jared Gooden side. But I think that it could get a little bit sketchy if it goes to the cards. If Jared's not super kind of winning these rounds, I think if they're close rounds, I think they might lean to the kind of veteran side. But Jouban to me is very hittable. Dwight Grant caught him with some big power. I think that Gooden's got some power there. He can hurt him. He can be a little bit more physical with him. I think he can power in some takedowns with some nice quick double legs if he needs to. So I'm going to go on the Jared Gooden side in that one there. And I think it's a good opportunity for him to get a kind of name-ish guy in his UFC debut. Big spot, in my opinion. Moving on to the prelims, we've got Daniel Rodriguez against Nicolas Dalby. Nicolas's first fight in the UFC in America, I believe. So that's interesting, going over there for that. I know he's been in Brazil and so on. And this was a fight that was made, I want to say, 7 to 10 days ago. So there's not been a lot of time to really prepare. Rodriguez, in my opinion, has got a lot of problems, but I think that Dalby's got some spots that he could possibly hurt Rodriguez, but I see Rodriguez being more dangerous, and I think that Dalby, I don't want to say he underestimated Jesse Ronson last time, because I think he maybe saw him as maybe just a jiu-jitsu guy and had to be careful of that. Maybe his getting hit with shots, his durability is maybe going a little bit, and Rodriguez can crack as well off that southpaw stance, can land some big shots. He can also take a shot as well. He's seen some of his UFC fights, he is hittable, but he is very dangerous in my opinion. That left hand to me, if Dalby can't tie him up, then he could be at range with Rodriguez, and I think Rodriguez could hurt him. So my pick's going to be Daniel Rodriguez. I think he can nullify Dalby, maybe in the clinch, maybe in the takedown spots, but I think on the feet, I think he can hurt Dalby. So I'll go Rodriguez. I'll go with via stoppage in that one there, maybe even a late one, a third round stoppage there.
I was going stoppage towards Dalby, to Rodriguez, bro. I saw the fight get changed and Daniel Rodriguez's name pop up, and I kind of clenched up a bit. I thought, that is not a good short notice fight, because Rodriguez, he might even know how fit he is for this fight, and he just might go, I'm just going to go for it in the first round. Dalby's going to have a rough time taking that, because we've seen before, Dalby gets hit. He does get hit. Don't get me wrong, Dalby's kind of evolved a little bit, and he's put some more power in his shots sometimes, and he did well in the Cage Warriors side of things when he got some stoppages. But Rodriguez, like you said, Will, he's got dynamite in those hands, and Dalby, when he comes in, he kind of, with his kind of style, if you time it right, you throw that punch, you're getting his momentum coming in, and you're getting your punch's momentum. That's like you're almost doubling the force coming to hit someone's chin. It's going to hurt. I think Rodriguez is just going to be patient. If it was me, I'd be patient, because I know what Dalby's like. He comes back and forth, head kicks, all this good stuff, the jabs and the kind of 1-2 combinations. You're Rodriguez, you just cover up a little bit, you take your licks, and then when he comes in, you throw that shots once or twice, you're going to really cause Dalby problems. So I can see Rodriguez getting a sneaky little, short notice W here.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that there. I'd like to see Dalby win, because, like I say, I think everybody kind of likes him.
Lovable guy, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's a bad matchup for him. Antonina Shevchenko against Ariane Lipski. To me, I see this being close in some spots, but it's hard for me to really get a read, because when Shevchenko loses, she usually gets dominated. And Ariane Lipski, since I kind of moved to the UFC, hasn't really looked dominant in any one spot. We've seen, if this stays standing, I think you've got the more technique in Shevchenko will show through, but the power shots are on maybe Lipski, and I think that, to me, there's a clear lack of takedown defense in the Shevchenko side. So why wouldn't you go after that, considering she's got a couple of wins in the UFC? She got a knee bar last time out against Carolina, and she has submitted some people in KSW as well. So I struggle with this one a little bit. Me
too. I think it's so hard, this one to pick.
There's some women's fights that are just really hard to kind of. I think if it stays standing, I think the more shots will come from Shevchenko, from Antonina. I think she will land more. I think she'll land cleaner. Where I think the power shots and the counter shots will be off the Lipski side. But I think that she's got a little bit of an advantage if she can get it to the ground. Now you have to think that Antonina, she is a striker at heart, but she's nothing like her kind of half sister, or not even sister up top in Valentina. Where Valentina is really just good in every area. Antonina she is a striker first, and that's really it. And she has no idea how to kind of get off her back. So you have to think she's been getting better at that, but it's hard to really say that she maybe has. So I'm going to go on the Lipski side, even though I don't like it. So I think that she can maybe get some takedowns and maybe win a pretty smelly decision. But I've got no real confidence in the pick of Lipski. But I'll take a shot in the dog.
Well, like you say, she's 35 as well, Antonina.
Yeah.
You know, she's not exactly young either. That flyweight 35 that's no spring chicken, guys and girls. That's knocking on like you've not got long left in this division because it's not she's not going to get any faster. She's not going to develop in ways that you'd imagine. The kind of thing with Lipski is that girl's got time to even get there, get her feet in a bit more. She's only 26 herself. So she's got a bit of time to maybe get better and grow and maybe adjust herself for the UFC. She obviously done that, she lost a couple. She's now won a couple and she's got herself back into it with Shevchenko. Her weaknesses, I was shocked at her weaknesses because I would have thought with Valentina, I thought they would have been coming on an equal, similar par coming in when they fight. But when you see Antonina fight, you thought, how? Like, when you're training with Valentina, does she not say, girl, you're shit at those takedown defenses. You might want to do a bit of sprawling. Stop high kicking the bag in the trees. Let's get down. Let's do some sprawl technique. I was just surprised. I would have thought the pair of them would have bounced off each other to kind of complement each other with the training and bring it up a bit. But Lipski could definitely go for the takedown where, like you say, I think if I'm Lipski, I want to mix it up. I would stand on the fight. I would stand on the feet 100%. For the first few minutes with Shevchenko in each round, I would stand on the feet, see if the trade-off's working off. If she's getting a few heavy shots landed, stick at it, and then go for a takedown, well-timed takedown, maybe 2 minutes in to the end of the round and get the grappling exchange going. I'm going to go Lipski because I just think she's got a little bit more to offer with the, she can potentially get that fight down. She's got the wilder striking, but I think she can get a bit more mixing up in the fight game too, mate. I just feel with Shevchenko, I'm just not uber confident. And it's a hard fight to pick, really hard, because if it stays standing for the full 3 rounds, Shevchenko technically should be able to outpoint Lipski and get that W.
Yeah. Joaquin Buckley coming off probably the knockout of the year, one of the bigger moments of the year against that crazy knockout against Impa Kasanganay. He's facing off against the Beverly Hills Ninja, Jordan Wright in this one here. How do you see this middleweight encounter going?
I feel bad for Joaquin Buckley because a lot of hype's going to be on him and they're going to expect something. Yeah. I'm like, dude, don't. It's just a one-off thing you did. Don't fret. Just do what you normally do. Don't worry about it. And I won't lie, that Jordan Wright, I don't know about you, Will. He just kind of rubs me up the wrong way. I've not even heard him in an interview. I just something about him. I go, I can't get in. I just can't. It feels a bit smug. And I feel like, do you know what? When he got absolutely murked in Dana White tennis series, I fucking loved it. I know got moved to no contest. I don't care what anyone says. If you get murked like he did, face planted on the ground, no, there's signs there that there's weakness there. There's signs there that you can get murked more than once. And to be fair, his record was so padded. It definitely came back to bite him on the ass against Anthony Hernandez. He then went on, obviously, to fight in LFA, where he got a win there against. But then that Villian Ueva fight was disgusting in itself because Ike was it's just, what's he doing in the UFC? Like, it's great. He's absolutely gopping. The guy shouldn't have been in the UFC. And he got a win because of a stoppage. And yeah, the guy was cut, and he probably would have won it because is what it is, but this is a harder fight for Wright. Buckley, short, powerful dude. He's got no neck, so he's almost Wright's going to go for the kicks and the flash stuff a little bit, and Buckley could definitely just close that distance and hit hard. I'm going towards Buckley because the power side of things with his hands. Wright doesn't like guys with power. He does not like guys who can have a bit of technique and power. And Anthony Hernandez is the best example. You get in Wright's face, you get dirty, and you get fighting. That's what Buckley does well. So I'm going to pick over towards Buckley here to get the W.
Yeah, like I say, the betting lines kind of went off the charts with this one. Like, I think if he doesn't have that knockout, this fight's more closer to a pick'em than it really should be. So he's minus like 265. So the hype's all on him. He's jumping fairly short notice, and I don't want to say short notice, but he's getting back into fights again. He probably only fought maybe 6 weeks ago, maybe not even that. And I don't think he's super dangerous with his hands. I think he's fluid enough. I don't think he has the power, and he's like the one punch kind of power in there. I do think he can put it on you. Bit of a physical specimen. I hear he's a bit of a shithead. he's a guy that gets kicked out of gyms quite a bit. You heard probably the James Krause.
Yeah,
where he wants to fight Buckley, and because I think in the Missouri area he's not a great sparring partner. He kind of hurts guys, goes too hard. Jordan Wright, like to you, I don't know what it is. He just rubs me up the wrong way. I don't know what it is. He's a bit of an entitled guy. I've heard him say some things regarding the money that he came up through in Beverly Hills and so on. And he fought Villanueva, come in there, and Villanueva, like I say, he would never make the UFC if this whole COVID thing didn't kick off in 2020, in my opinion. But he is dangerous. I mean, he's a guy that's technically undefeated, even though he gets starched on the Dana White Contender Series. Big guy for the division. Looks like he's got some skills on the ground and so on, but he's fought a padded record. That's who he's fought. He's fought guys with very, very bad records here. So I have to lean on the Buckley side. I think the betting line is super high. I just like the athleticism, maybe the overall kind of power he's got with all his strikes and just his overall maybe kind of game. Maybe the power will kind of keep Wright back a little bit. So I'll go Buckley in that spot. And the main fight, the prelims here, and the flyweight, which is probably the next guy. You win this fight, you're probably next up to face Figueiredo or Perez, depending on how the fight goes, or if Garbrandt comes down. I know they want to make that fight, but number one contender fight, in my opinion. You've got two very dangerous guys. I cannot believe I was nearly on the spot where I picked Royval against Elliott. So I've been kind of slow to jump on the train of Brandon Royval, and it's kind of cost me because he's been underdog a few times. And this one here, to me, has got all the makings of being an absolute scrap. I think that Royval, that's the type of fighter he is. Moreno will be happy to kind of have a fight like that. So I think I'm firmly on the side of Brandon Royval in this one here. I think that as an underdog, he's a good spot here. I think his overall game, I think he's decent with his striking. I think he is very hittable himself. He can get into scrambles, but he's super dangerous off his back. Super dangerous if you're jumping in for takedowns. He's got a great jiu-jitsu game, very opportunistic. Will look to kind of move to positions. He's not a guy that'll sit in one position. He will attack different submissions. He will start to chain submissions. Moreno, I think he's looked great since he's come back into the UFC, got some good wins. He was the underdog to Kai Kara France. I bet him in that spot there where he came through as a nice dog. Beat Juicy Formiga, which is never an easy out for anybody in that division. He was a top 5 guy in there for the longest time. Heard this week that he's been released from the UFC. I think the UFC's kind of seen like, right, you're getting older, you're not getting anywhere near that title. You've
100k a week, 100k a fight. Sorry,
I think he's on good money, and I mean he beat Deiveson. I don't think he's going to get that fight again. So I'm on the Royval side. I think he's more dangerous in most of the spots here, but Moreno could maybe tie him up and win the rounds through that. And Royval's not one of these guys that really wins rounds too comfortably. You're not going to come out here and see him get takedowns and lay there and whatever else. So he's going to have to be dangerous. I think he's going to have to stop Moreno. So I'm going to pick him via stoppage. I'll go Brandon Royval for the win.
The performance that Royval put on against Kai Kara France was fantastic as well. You know, he's certainly shown. I think he's at Factory X as well. Is it Factory X Brandon Royval's at? Yeah, Factory X. You know, I mean, they are doing some great work with fighters at that place, and he's a great example. You know, he looked like he's got good conditioning. He looks to use his size perfectly for someone that weight class, that height, that length. He's got good strikes. He puts knees in there as well in the mix. And someone like Brandon Moreno is a kind of guy who's got that kind of arched over position, the kind of almost dirty boxer. He comes in close to throw punches. He's a perfect candidate for that style with knees. You know, and come down the middle. And Brandon's got to, you know, like you said, Will, on the ground, he's a horrible dude. Like, he's got nice dexterity. He can put on some submissions. He's a threat the whole time. Brandon Moreno wants this to be a dirty boxing fight, wants to go back and forth. With Kai Kara France, he was getting hurt, Brandon. He was getting hit a few times by Kai Kara France, and it was a back and forth battle, you know, and I think he just wore down Kai Kara France come this end of this midway through the second, third round onwards. You could see he just wore. Kai Kara France had nothing left in his punches, where Moreno still had that power. He was still hurting Kai Kara France. here, you won't get that, I don't think. I think Moreno's not going to get that style of fight with Royval. Royval's going to be a bit more of an architect. He's going to be picking off a bit more smart with not engaging in the wars. And I'm picking Royval as well, but I think he might be able to get a nice 30-27 decision here just by being smart and not engaging in the war with Moreno.
Okay. So that's our fight picks through for UFC 255. Let us know if you agree, disagree, you have your own picks, your own conclusions on how the fight's going to end up. I'm going to quickly go into the betting side. Here, I have one bet already. There's a couple of other spots I do like. So I've got a parlay which I made today, which I think I kind of messed up a little bit because I thought there was a different bet that I've seen which would have been a better look and pretty much the same. So to me, I've got Kyle Daukaus. I got him at minus 200. I actually bet this. When did I bet this? Actually, Saturday morning. He was minus 200, and now he's minus 280. But I put him with Lewis Cosce in the Palatnikov fight to not go the distance. That fight to not go the distance. But I actually looked at Cosce, who I do think wins inside the distance. I actually seen that he was minus 188. So I got minus 275, I think it was. So I could have got a better line on Cosce. I'm obviously picking him to win the fight. So I've got him inside the distance. So that would have been a better one. It would have just up my odds a little bit. So I kind of messed up there, but it is what it is. I should have kind of waited. I usually don't make kind of bets that like a week out from a fight, but I did with this one. It kind of messed up. It is what it is. The other one I was actually looking at was maybe adding that Cosce by KO or submission and actually putting it with Valentina Shevchenko to the fight to start round 2. You can get plus money for. So
okay.
That's what, like, I think it's minus 300. And then you've got the Cosce side at minus 188. So I think you're around about even money in that, and if I remember off the top of my head. So that is something I like. The other spots I like here, Jared Gooden's an underdog. I think that's a good spot to look at. I think that Royval plus 165, you're getting good odds there, and a guy that I think will be live in this fight. I think you might get a decent line on Paul Craig. He's minus 170 right now. I think the name value of Shogun will bring that down towards closer.
Come Friday,
yeah. So I like that spot. Tim Means is an underdog. I've picked him, so I wouldn't mind that. I can see that line maybe going up a little bit. And then you could jump into the Figueiredo side here, minus 300. I think that's a good parlay piece. I think you'll have some decent spots here. I was actually just reading a little bit on there while you were talking there, and he's actually £7 lower for fight week than he's usually at 143 this time of the week. He's actually 136, so that's a good look. Actually, he's going to get there. He's going to put some of his money into getting a nutritionist and getting that sorted. So I'm kind of leaning on the side of, I've got that parlay. I might make that other parlay with Cosce and Valentina to hit round 2 for round about plus money. And then the kind of spots I am kind of leaning on is maybe Royval and maybe Jared Gooden, and maybe doing something with Figueiredo. That's where I'm looking at right now. But yeah, there's definitely some spots here. There's some totals that I think you could hit. I think over 2.5 in the Valentina fight might actually not be too bad. But I think that she could finish in the first 3 rounds. I actually saw that bet today where I think it was Valentina to win in the first rounds 1, 2, or 3 was minus 138, which I thought
that's not
too bad, especially if she's very dominant, and maybe Maia kind of realizes that I'm not in this fight. She might kind of find a way out of it. So, there's definitely spots here that it's a better betting card than I liked last week, even though I picked a lot of dogs and a couple came through, and I went heavy.
Last week's was a tough one, yeah.
Yeah, I went heavy on fight day on Al Hassan when he hit minus 200, and that was just. I think I've learned my lesson with that guy because I've lost a lot of money in him this year on 2 big size bets, probably 2 of my bigger size bets of the year actually, and he's not came through, but still managed to make a profit in that card last week. So that's the spots I'm in for next week. I've got a couple of parlays in mind. I've got a couple of dog plays, and maybe Paul Craig's intriguing me because I do think that line comes down a little bit. But I'll see how that goes. So that's where I'm at with my bets this week. That's going to be us. We're going to be back next week. I don't know. Is it Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades next week?
Yeah.
Some decent fights. I've quite enjoyed doing the different kind of starting with the main card and moving into different fights. And they've got Moicano against Fiziev next week, which is an absolute unbelievable fight. I actually totally forgot about that fight until I looked in Wikipedia right now. So, wow, that's a great fight. Hopefully, that's the co-main event, and we get to see that up there because I think it's a better fight than what probably the main event's going to be. So, but yeah, that's next week, guys. Hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. We'll be back next Monday or Tuesday, probably Monday if I can. I think I'm free, and then something crops up. Like yesterday, there was a whole birthday thing last week, so there's always something with that. But it's coming into Christmas time, so hopefully that quietens down. Keep an eye out. John will get this edited, and I'll get it out in the middle of the week. Until next week, guys, all the best. Take care and enjoy the fights when they come around this weekend. Peace.